In the world today, there are children that are 13 years up and older that are having unprotected sex. If sex education is not taught in school, teens will be dealing with a lot of problems when they are having unprotected sex. For example, AIDS, STDs, HIV, and unwanted pregnancies that can have a huge impact on the public. This topic is important because it will solve many solutions for our generation. A quantitative study of teachers' beliefs and attitudes towards young people learning about sex education in school. Sex education is unlikely to succeed if children do not feel comfortable with the contents or the style of delivery that they are providing to their students. Teachers may have concerns about parents or guardians objecting to sex education because it's being taught in school, or believes that sex education can promote sexual activity, which can lead to reluctance to discuss sexual matters with young people beyond providing biological information in strongly prohibited terms. School-based sex education can encourage young people to change or reduce risky behaviors, thus reducing their vulnerability to HIV and other sexual transmitted infections, unwanted pregnancies, and core events or abusive sexual activity. Sex education is a high quality teaching and learning about a broad variety of topics related to sex and sexuality, exploring values and beliefs about those topics and getting the skills that they are needed to navigate relationships and manage one's own sexual health. Sex education is the instruction of issues relating to human sexuality, including emotional relations, responsibilities, human sexual anatomy, sexual activity, sexual reproduction, age of consent, reproductive health, reproductive rights, safe sex, birth control, and also sexual abstinence. Did you know that more than 50% of participants that responded that primarily sex education for young children should be the responsibility of parents, and that education should be started during the elementary school period? A moderate correlation was found between parents' sexual knowledge and sexual attitudes. Most parents were afraid to provide sex education because they are unfamiliar with teaching the methods and their lack of knowledge. 50 of the parents wanted to receive sexual related education. With that being said, there are parents who would even like to be a part of the sex education so that they can learn and educate their own kids. There are interesting topics that includes the sexual structure of males and females and sexual physiology. Open communication between parents and their children regarding sex-related issues are also important. It's the most important thing that you need to discuss with your kids to keep them safe. It is crucial to provide accurate and up-to-date sex education information to parents so that they can effectively teach their children at home. Schools are widely regarded as key settings in which to educate young people about sexual activity and reproductive health. However, there has also been highly influential international approaches to sex education which can be informed by more conservative values. Beyond this, by enabling young people to make informed decisions about their sexual lives, sex education can unleash the potential of young people themselves to alter the course of HIV. Teachers in the classroom also has a responsibility to act alongside parents and communities in ensuring the protection and well-being of children and people and important gatekeepers of SRH information and services. According to teachers, SRH issues are covered on the curriculum during biology and CRE classes, including topics such as the personal hygiene, sexual transmitted disease, HIV prevention, and pregnancies. All students at the school also receive sex education throughout termly classes, which are held at school, during which teachers cover life skills topics including social health and relationships, and also sexual health. The debate over sex education in the United States centers on the questions of who should teach students about issues relating to sex, such as intercourse, pregnancies, contraceptions, gender identity, sexuality, and sexual transmitted infections and relationships. If topics relating to sex are not to be taught in school, a second major issue in debate is what type of information, and by extension, what sexual values should be transmitted through the sex education curriculum. There are two kinds of sex education programs in the United States: abstinence-only curriculum and comprehensive sex education. Throughout it is not only a religious issue, abstinence-only programs tend to support by Christian groups and social conservatives, and comprehensive sex education programs tend to be constant with a more liberal point of view. In sex education today, the overall picture of sex education policy in the United States remains extremely complex. By Pacific curriculum differ widely from state to state, district to district, and even school to school. Another emerging concern over sex education curricula is whether existing sex education curriculum addresses the needs of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender youth. I believe sex education should be taught in school because there are many teens that think having unprotected sex is okay, and it's not. Even though it makes them feel a certain way, teens do not know what they are getting themselves into, which is what I did before, and I regretted it ever since. There are teens that also do not know the consequences that they will have to face. Parents wait until their child gets to a certain age so that they can start talking to them about it. The birds and the bees. When parents wait too long to have the talk with their kids, I believe it's too late and they decide to go figure it out on themselves, and it is not safe. If sex education is not taught in school, teens will be dealing with a lot of problems when they have unprotected sex. For example, AIDS, HIV, STDs, and unwanted pregnancies, which can have an impact on the public. Although these two are different, both of them can be contracted through unsafe sexual intercourse. HIV targets the immune system, and an individual with HIV who is not receiving any treatment will find it harder to fight even simple infections and diseases. If left untreated, the immune system can last up to 10 to 15 years before it becomes severely damaged. It is important that children are able to educate themselves on sex education in order for them to stay safe. With that being said, all of my articles has came from Galileo. The authors are Curtis, Fisher, Liar, and Lee.